What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, it's time for some indie comics, because it's our indie comics weekends, where we cover at least one indie comic, putting them in the spotlight. And for this video, we're going to be covering Judas Breed, issue number 3. Now, we've covered issue number 1 and 2. And if you haven't checked those out, go ahead and check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you completely caught up on everything that's been going on in this really awesome line. Also, be sure to check out their Kickstarter. Issues number 4 and 5 are currently in Kickstarter. For like $5, you can go support it and get like both issues on digital. So if you're enjoying this line, I highly recommend go check out their Kickstarter, support their Kickstarter, so you'll have issues number 4 and 5 as soon as they release. You can support it by checking out the link in my description. Now, this is written by Kenneth A. Brown. It's illustrated by Ryan Best and lettered by HDE. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we get into issue number 3, it opens up with one hell of a brutal opening. And what we see is the past. And we see Connie. Now, Connie is sitting here talking on the phone with somebody as her 5-year-old son is playing with a soccer ball in the house. In the process of him doing this, he ends up kicking it, causing a mess. And Connie tells him, you gotta stop playing in the house like that. Why don't you take this paper, go sit down and draw something for me and your father? And so, being an innocent little 5-year-old, he goes running into the other room, going to look for some pencils, crayons, markers, whatever a kid can find to draw with. And we see him digging through some drawers, but then he goes over to his mom's purse, goes over to Connie's purse. And upon inspecting inside of this purse, he finds himself holding a pistol in his hands. And this is when Connie hears it. She hears the bang. She hears the gunshot. And her heart sinks. Her stomach drops because she knows what that sound is. And she rushes into the other room, only to find her 5-year-old son. Adam has just shot himself. He has killed himself with a fatal gunshot wound to the head. And so, like I said, they are not pulling any freaking punches jumping into issue number 3. Now, this is when we're taken to a year and a half later. Later in terms of when Connie was brought back to Earth. And Connie has been in a coma for a year and a half, sitting in this tube and this suit that they put her in a year and a half ago after her ship made it back. And we have Angela watching over her. And Angela's going through the computer trying to find information. Now, this computer, this whole research operation is really led by Carter, at least in the medical department. And Angela's come here to find something for Hunter, because Hunter, he wants to pull the plug on Connie. It's been a year and a half, she hasn't come out of this coma, and there's no signs that she will actually come out of it. And Carter tells Angela, that he doesn't work for Hunter, that he works for the board, and he's gotten no such orders from the board. So if he wants to pull the plug on her, he can come down and he can do it his damn self. And he continues on saying, her husband comes every single freaking day. Like, at the very least, you should let them know that we're gonna pull the plug, regardless if we're the ones funding this or not. Like, that man deserves the right to know if we're gonna kill his wife today. But as they're having this conversation, Connie's brainwaves start fluctuating. It's almost as if she's trying to come out of the coma. And that's exactly what's happening. She had such a horrific nightmare that it woke her from her coma. And she is slowly starting to wake up as the doctors rush frantically to be able to get her out of this little containment. But Connie isn't fully coherent yet. She still believes that this is part of a dream, or the pain and agony from the dream is still right now haunting her, and she's screaming out for her son. She's screaming out for Adam, crying no. And we see her break out of this pod. We see it open up and her gasp for air. Now, obviously, this is a problem. This is a problem for Hunter and Angela, because they both had intentions of ending her today. Now, Hunter, he's not very happy about this, but he's also currently away. He's at the Los Angeles Zoo. And you would think this is a really random place for somebody like this to be. But this is when we see him making his way through the park and to a blast door. Using his keycard, opening up the blast door and telling Angela, more or less, find out what she knows. And depending on what she knows will depend on our next course of action on how to deal with Connie. And as Hunter goes into this facility, we learn that it's the Wartech military test site facility. And this is where they've been keeping all the anthropods. This is where they've been keeping all the alien specimens. And he meets up with Dr. Lee to see the progress that they've been making. And this is when she leads him to Linda. Now, Linda has grown ridiculously in size. And it seems like these anthropods, these aliens, they grab onto a human host. But you can see on the back of Linda, more little babies waiting to find new hosts. And so they may be creating these kind of asexually, which can be severely devastating for someone like the human race if even one of these things were to get loose. Now for Hunter, Linda is absolutely beautiful. The full potential of what these things could be. The military applications is something that he just can't look past. And with Dr. Lee's microchip implanted into the brain, the goal here is to try and manipulate these aliens into a type of mind control. And if they control these, they can use them for military applications on the battlefield. Now, this is when we're taken to Connie, and she's sitting in the hospital room, kind of recovering, coming back to reality, if you will. And Angela and Carter come into the room. And Angela, she wants answers immediately. She wants to know everything that she knows, everything that she remembers, answer any of her questions. But Carter, he seems like the gentler individual. And Carter tells Angela, like, maybe we can do these questions at another time. Like, she literally just came out of a coma. She needs to eat some food. You know, her mind's gonna take some time to catch up. You know, Angela, obviously not being happy about this, leaves her card and says, you know, if you remember anything, give us a call, let us know, fill us in on all the information. Now, right now, Linda's having trouble with everything. Her mind's trying to catch up, but her body is at 100%. Because in that the cryodome they had her in that suit they had her to, she literally was getting pumped full of proteins and amino acids and everything her body needed to keep her muscles strong and her body healthy. And so essentially her body, it's like it was never in a coma to begin with, only her mind. And so it's just gonna take a little bit of time for her mind to catch up. And this is when she asks about her husband, about her daughter. And we see them two come in the room. And this is just a super great, warm reunion. You know, it's been 1.5 years since she's been in a coma, plus she was already out in space, so they haven't seen her in quite a while. So they have lots to catch up on, such as her daughter joining the military, so on and so forth. You know, they spent hours just chatting, giggling, laughing, crying, having quality time with the people that they truly do love. Now, this is when we pick up the next day, and Connie's about to be discharged. You know, she's up, she's walking around, she's dressed again, she seems to be fully functioning, looking like she's back up to 100%. And so whatever wound that she got from the alien, it doesn't seem like it was able to spread, it possibly even healed. But they haven't even said much about that. Now, this is when we pick up with two kids, Tommy and Eric. Now, Tommy and Eric, they're, you know, just regular suburban kids, riding around on their bicycles. But Eric has something he wants to show Tommy, and he shows him a type of facility. Now, we know this as the Wartech Housing Unit, Sector 5. But these kids, they have no idea what this is. And what we see is prisoners going inside the building, and Tommy thinks, you know, this is nothing crazy or special. There's no monsters here like you're claiming. This is just a prison. Like, and also, we probably shouldn't even be here, so we should probably hightail it out of here. But Eric says no, like, man, let me show you. He's like, I got something. I promise you, like, there's monsters here. I'll show you some freaking monsters. And they ride their bikes down a little ways, and this is where they come up to a sewage tunnel, or maybe even a drainage tunnel. But these two boys, they start going inside, and making their way through these tunnels. It eventually leads them underneath the floorboards of this facility, and they're able to push them up, making their way inside the facility. and this is when they go up to one of the glass containers that's nearby. Coming up to it, one of the anthropods comes running at the glass. And so Eric's just like, yo, like, I told you, there's monsters here, bro. Like, there's monsters here, and they're scary, but they're behind this glass, and they can't get to us. Now, Tommy's just like, bro, like, let's get out of here. Like, we shouldn't be here. There's monsters everywhere. But before they get the opportunity to make their escape, somebody comes running down the stairs. Or not running, but walking down the stairs. And so they see a ladder off to the side and make their way over to the ladder, climbing up there to try to hide out. And this is where we see Dr. Lee and Hunter. And they've made their arrival with a bunch of other individuals that seem more or less like their financial backers, investors, so on and so forth. And they're here to see all of the aliens, all of the creatures. Now, the one they're seeing right now, they call this one Scar. Now, they've had to separate a lot of them because individuals like Scar are super aggressive. We even had Linda, who was pretty much killing all of the weaker ones at one point in time. And continuing on with their demonstrations, they take them into the next room. And in this room, there's a one-way mirror, and on the other side of that mirror is a pure white room. And as they stand and observe this room, 4 prisoners are thrown into it, handcuffed behind their back. And then we see the anthropods make their arrival. They open up a little gate and they come crawling out. And really, this is just feeding lambs to the slaughter. And we see these parasites grab onto the humans and they have a new host. Just like that, they're taken over and they're dead. Now, Tommy and Eric, they've been watching this whole thing. They've made their way into the air circulation system and they've been watching it. And Hunter, he hears a thud, but he kind of brushes it off. He's kind of like, oh, maybe I heard something, maybe I didn't hear something. But we see these 2 kids end up taking off and making their escape. And that will be the end of this issue. So holy crap, guys. First of all, this was like 40 freaking pages long, which was awesome. I love when comics are this long. I love when they invest this much time into their stories. And so we're really building towards something awesome happening. And issues 4 and 5, for based off all the artwork and stuff that I've seen so far, it really does look super promising. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this series so far. You know, I know some people were a little bit worried that this may be a play off of something else, but really, I truly do feel like this is a unique story all to itself. While it does have inspirations from things such as Alien and so on and so forth, I don't feel like this is the same story. I don't feel like this is a copy. I don't feel like it's any of that. And I really do see this going in a much different direction than any of that ever did. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you haven't yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, like this video, and until the next breakdown,